Hello and welcome to Political Bazaar. Today with me I have Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow of the Nuclear Program at the IPCS, the Institute for Peace and Conflict Studies. Today we'll be discussing a report which came out yesterday. First it came out on social media that there was a security breach at the Kudankulam nuclear power plant. Following this, the KKNPP administration has denied any breach. To discuss this and more with me, Abhijit. Thank you, Abhijit, for coming on Political Bazaar.
Thanks for having me here, Viju.
Let's just discuss the incident first. First, that such a breach had happened at the nuclear power plant was reported predominantly in social media, following which parliamentarians have taken it up and even the administration has given a statement denying it. Can you just give the brief of...
Sure. Now, this particular power plant, other than, of course, the infamy of all those anti-nuclear protests, has had consistent failures over a period of time. I've been going through the reports at least since 2016. We've seen several shutdowns happening. So when it was announced earlier this month or last month that it shut down again, none of us really took it seriously. Till this data
Everyone thought it would be a routine maintenance of
well, not
hardware.
maintenance, because the problem was routine shutdowns are announced in advance. Kudankulam for some reason keeps shutting down with no schedule. So basically there's some problem with it. Now we always thought that it was a mechanical problem out there, it was a design problem out there, which is worrying in itself. But it turns out, and this is probably the good news in all of this, that it probably isn't a mechanical problem. It is probably the cyber, I'm hesitant to say cyber attack. Let's call it a cyber event that has occurred. Now, what's important out here is that the government has basically gone and contradicted itself within 12 hours itself. If you look at the denial that Kudankulam itself, let's just call it Kudankulam, that Kudankulam put out yesterday in the morning, they basically said that a security breach wasn't possible because we were air-gapped. That is to say the internal networks have no connection with the outside networks outside of Kudankulam. But then today's Indian Express report then tells us that in fact there has been a security incident.
The Indian Express report that came out this morning actually quotes government officials saying it's confirmed that an incident happened early September, after which the National Cyber Security Council has taken notice of it. In mid-September they were there and they've given guidelines to rectify the problem that was there. Now my thing is, when you say air gap, just so that our listeners can also understand, an air gap computer or a system is one which does not have at any point connectivity with the net. Therefore, it cannot be hacked. That's the idea?
No, it has connectivity to an intranet. So assume that this table is the Kudankulam facility. Everything, most of the computers here will be networked to each other in the intranet. It's an intranet. It will not be connected to the internet.
Yes.
Therefore, you can't view sites like, say, Moneycontrol or TV18 on this net. And it's only when you come outside that you're able to access
That's
things.
the air gap.
That's the air gap.
Okay. And this breach, what you're saying, you're not calling it a cyber attack per se now, but it's an incident. The administration has also put up this clarification saying that it has affected computers that are used for administrative purposes only.
Right.
Now, what is the difference in this admin and ops?
Right. Now, here's the thing. In the air gap, you basically have two sets of functions. One is the function that controls the reactor and its functioning, which is the operations. But then you also need to do things like, because it's also a workspace. So you have thousands of employees and so on and so forth. You need to do their pay, you need to do their attendance records and so on and so forth. If they're put in for leave, normal administrative procedures, ordering equipment, ordering food because they'd have a canteen and so on and so forth. So all of that would be in a separate intranet.
Okay.
And what runs on what actually runs the reactor would be a separate intranet linked to each other. Now remember, an air gap only means that you can't be attacked over the net.
Okay.
It still means that you can be attacked through a USB stick, right? Or any kind of, if you've plugged your mobile phone, for example, if you've just used this to any kind of phone, you've charged it using the USB on your computer on the intranet, even that would constitute a security violation. That is a compromise. So what has happened here is very clear now. First, the government has contradicted itself within 12 to 24 hours. Because first they said the air gap was foolproof, then they say there has been a cyber incident that's happened.
Yes.
The very admission tells you that the air gap was breached.
Okay.
That there was a laxity of data hygiene, that the possibly a USB stick, because it is an air gap, was taken by somebody inside and fitted onto one of the computers. Otherwise, a cyber incident simply could not have happened.
Now, let me club two other questions that I have, and so that this is, our viewers can understand it. Why is this security incident or the cyber incident? What is the implications of it, and does it have any security implications, national security implications?
It has a lot of national security implications, because one of the things we keep looking at is cyber attack in the course of warfare. But remember, it's, warfare as we used to think of it was a kinetic event. Armies going, bombing, killing people. Today, warfare can be carried out without that. You can send, say, ATMs haywire and induce a financial panic. Okay. You can move funds around if you get passwords and so on and so forth, things like that. Now, in this case, the danger is that first they manage to breach the air gap and get in. So if they breach the outside-inside air gap, then there's no assurance that they couldn't breach the two gaps that existed between the administrative and the operation. Okay. Because if your security is lax in one, then it's lax in the other as well. If one has been breached, the other one has also been breached.
But that's an assumption we are making at the moment.
It's an assumption we're making, but it's based on fact. Okay. If one can be breached, if one was lax security,
it should raise red flags.
It should raise red flags across the board. Now, with regards to why this is important to security, remember we've had a culture of bad security in this country. You can go do a Google search on how many times the MEA computers have been hacked. In one instance, the Chinese hackers, they consistently keep hacking it. We're still to come up with an effective response to it. In one incident, I think it was in 2011, they were able to remotely turn on microphones and cameras of Indian embassy computers across the world. Being privy to information and so on and so forth. So we don't know the extent to which this has gone on. Okay. The third thing we have to stress out here is we don't know the entire nature of the attack. D-Track is basically, it's a derivative of the ransomware that was used by the Lazarus group, believed to be a North Korean group, to attack Sony. Remember when that movie critical of Kim Jong-un called The Interview, Josh Rogan came out? They used it to attack Sony Pictures. Now, we don't really know if this is ransomware or malware. Okay. Ransomware is basically malware used for ransoming things. So it has a code or something which can undo the things if you cooperate with the guy blackmailing you. Malware is just purely sadistic, that it's gone and destroyed a lot of things for you. And the third is like Stuxnet, which is what affected the Iranian
In your article to Moneycontrol, you've actually talked about this. You've compared it to the attack that happened in the Iranian nuclear facility. Right. Is that a stretch?
Yes and no, because see, the point that was being highlighted out there was the lack of a security culture. Okay. That Iran's nuclear program was so recessed, it was so secret, nobody was meant to know about it. The level of security precautions they took was so extraordinary. And still, because of a lax security culture, somebody was able to, we know for a fact now that Stuxnet was fed into the USB sticks of Russian contractors, and it attacked a certain Siemens processor. Yes. Right? So we don't know what else. If one virus has gotten in this way, we don't know what else has gotten.
So at the moment, we don't know the depth of the damage that has been done.
Exactly.
And let me put it like this, whether damage has been done and the depth of the damage.
Correct. And this is, again, extrapolating different things.
So what are the steps that can be done or should be done at the moment? Or the government and the Kudankulam, what are the steps?
So it's very, the first thing about this is transparency. You can't fix a problem till you acknowledge there's a problem. Okay. And the problem in India that we have is because of hierarchies and things like that, you can never have a junior go up to his boss and say, sir, you just took out a USB stick and put it in there. Okay. Or you're not meant to be charging your phone on the computer system.
Better data hygiene is...
It's better data hygiene, but see, better data hygiene also requires you to challenge social convention in this country. Okay. This reverence for your superior hierarchy and all of that. How that's going to happen, we don't know, but it's basically a thing of training, of constant training over and over again.
In the days ahead, news about Kudankulam and the alleged breach will be in the news. Till then, do read the article that Abhijit has written for us on Moneycontrol. For more news and updates, stay tuned to moneycontrol.com.